Alright, welcome back to another No Limits video. This one, just continue on the last one. You saw we got Big Dane home. He had a bit of story about it, so we've pulled the motor out, which I was just got into the thing when cleaning it up, so that's why none of that was filmed. But anyway, and I stripped it all down. So we'll give you a run through of what's going on with them and what sort of the goal is and why it's happening the way it is. So this is the engine I was given. That has a pretty nasty rod knock in it, but has good cylinder heads. So the actual engine for Big Dane is over here. That's the original engine that was in it when Dan bought the car. They're the heads that we pulled off it, that were overheated pretty badly. From memory, yeah, the warp in them is that bad that they were saying by the time they got them flat again, they would have to rebore the cam tunnel because it wouldn't be straight. So anyway, and the original idea was just to put the heads off this motor onto that motor. The problem is I didn't store it very well, and it's a bit hard to see in there. Alright, so the problem with Big Dane's engine is because it wasn't stored well for many years, believe it or not, mice got into it and they corroded the bores quite badly. So see the marks in that bore down there. I did try honing a couple of them on the other side. As you can see here, sort of like marking in them. So I did try and give it a light hone, and that was not going to save it. It really needs to be bored out. So just because this is a budget and just a runaround car, I've decided to use the crank out of this motor in this motor, and well, hopefully once we pull the heads off it, we'll see what the bores are like in this motor, and if it's alright, I'll use the crank and rods out of that one in this one, and I have a good motor for cheap, because I don't need to spend another couple of grand on parts and machining. But should be able to hear it on this one. That noise? That's the bearing. Yeah, that's the con rod that's got no bearing left in it. So anyway, we'll get the heads off this one and inspect what the rest of it looks like. Alright, we jumped ahead a little bit. The engine is all stripped down. Yeah, the heads look pretty good. I think they're going to be definitely usable. The bores in this one are nice, so we'll give her a hone and a new set of pistons and rings. But yeah, so it was number 8. Actually has no bearing left in it. I don't know where the bearing's gone, but that's how I pulled it apart, and it's worn the crank. Actually, I think that's the bearing just there. You can just see the better view. You can see the ends of the bearing there just stuck to the crankshaft. So yeah, that's the bearing. No, that was main big end bearing number 8. So, but the rest of the engine looks alright. So I'll use my crank and rods in this motor. And that's the importance of changing oil. That's what's done that. That's poor servicing, and it's burnt number 8 out because it is the furthest from the oil pump. So it's the first one to run out of oil pressure. Yeah, so that'll do it every time. That's why it's, even using cheap oil is better than not changing it at all. Which you see, this has got a Ryco filter on it. So when they did service it, I think they spent some money, but I didn't think they did it often enough. So anyway, now I get the fun job of cleaning this, so I'll spare you guys that and come back when it's all nice and clean, ready to start assembling the new motor. So we got the block all clean. Just slip the new bearings in it. Crankshaft's all clean. Bottom part of the block's all clean. Bearings all slipped into it. So we're going to start reassembling this thing. Cleaned up some other parts. Front cover. Pistons over there, they've all been, had all the ring grooves cleaned and everything ready to go. Start making a rotating assembly out of this thing. Yeah, important thing to note if you're going to do these sort of jobs, see these bearings have a hole in them, and those bearing caps don't. That supplies oil through all these little holes to your big ends. So make sure you get all your bearings in the right spot, otherwise it'll be a very short-lived operation before you're doing it again. Or it will just destroy everything and you won't do it again because you'll have to find another motor. So yeah, I'll keep going with this thing. Alright, so crank's in, all the pistons are in. Did a little bit of a time lapse there till the camera went flat, but anyway. New head gaskets are sitting on it, block's all nice and clean, ready to go. Got my heads, well one, haven't cleaned the other one yet, but yeah. It's all there ready to roll, so we'll grab the replacement head bolts and we'll get the heads, we'll get a cylinder head on this thing. Oil running out of the lifters. So this has what you call torque to yield head bolts. So all the head bolts have to be replaced every time the head's torqued. So once you torque these head bolts up, that is the last time they can be torqued up. Yeah. If you suddenly forget to have put pistons in it or something like that, and your head has to come back off, it's another set of bolts and gaskets. All of that can only ever be used once. We're going to try not to drop anything too down an oil jacket or something like that, or an oil gallery or a cooling jacket, because then you've got to pull the head off and buy new gaskets. And these even come with little ones. It's just little bolts up around the front of it. I usually pick torque to yield because it's got an unusual torque setting instead of just doing a setting through like 3 different torque settings as you go down. Just doing the thing to 20 newton meters, 40 newton meters, 60 newton meters. It'll be, actually, what is it for this motor? For this particular engine, it is 20 newton meters, then 47 newton meters, then 90 degrees for bolts 1 through 10, which are the big ones, and bolts 11 to 14, which are those 4 up in the front here. They are 30 newton meters. We'll run all these down. I was always taught to do these with a speed brace, just so they're by hand, you can feel them. Or if you hit them with an impact driver, you got no feel for the bolt. So it could be really hard to turn. If it is, then you know that you're not going to get an accurate torque setting on it. Like that, so you can feel the Loctite on those bolts. But they're probably not as critical as the actual head bolts. But at the same point, if they leak oil, you've got to pull the head back off, so it's still worth doing them correctly, that's for sure. We'll go through our first torque setting. 20 newton meters. Yes. Talking to a camera. Well, you won't be my cameraman, so I've got to. Trusty old torque wrench is set. Alright, torque wrench is all set. It's a bit hard to see, but these little cards do give you a pattern which way to do it. Which looks as though they're going outwards. Just about all of them will start from the middle. That's fairly common. This particular one is here. We're doing it out in a crisscross pattern. Those ones are actually stepping up 30. Righto. 47 is the next one we got to go to here. 47. Right there. Righto. Now what I like to do is let them sit for a little bit, so I'll go ahead and put the other cylinder head on and torque it down, and then I'll come back and actually do the final step on this. Just lets the gasket settle in. So yeah, we'll come back when that's done. Alright, there we go. Both cylinder heads are on it. I did torque them. Yeah, just someone tightened the bolt, so no point filming stuff. I'm about pack it up, call it a night. Be back to this thing tomorrow morning to do timing chains, oil, pump, pickup and sump, and then rocker covers as well. That's it, and then it goes back in the car. So making progress. Alright, we're back at it. It's a following day. As you can see, all the timing chains are on. Yeah, I wasn't filming that. It's a bit of a mess around. There is a tool that screws on the end of this gear and actually holds the back two chains, because you've got to put it all in as one unit. I don't have that tool, obviously, so I haven't done one of these before. So what you got to do is look through those grooves, and you see there's two little blue links, and it's a bit hard to see, but in behind this chain is the back chain. You can just see my finger in there, and there's two little blue links in there. So they've got to be visible through these two windows, and then those two there, the one down here with your left one for that head, and then the dot on the right one for this head. And that's your timing all set up, and then you just go ahead and pull the pins out, and it puts tension on everything. So that's it timed, ready to go. So now I can put the oil pickup, the sump on, the front cover on, and the rocker covers on. Fill this hole in, screw the big thing back in here. And it's ready to go back in the car, believe it or not. Because I just want it like this to put back in the vehicle. So bell housing bolts are a bit of a pain to get to, so I figure if I leave the intake off until it's in, I can reach down the back and do the bell housing bolts up without having to fight past the intake manifold. All the exhaust manifolds are on, so yeah, we'll keep going with him, and shouldn't be too much longer, and I'll actually be lowering this back into that Jeep. Shot by Jojo.
Shot by Jojo. With Jeffrey's camera.
Yep. That's the wrong trigger. So that one. Yes. It held it to unload it. It'll be fine.
Ready?
Yep. Stop there. Ratchet strap. Let's fix it.
How big is your memory card on this thing?
Righto, engine's back in the Grand, and that was my goal for this weekend's worth of work, putting this engine together, and it's back in. That's far from running, but it is back in. So, and it's Sunday afternoon, so that's going to be it. I'll pull up on this for the, I might tinker on a little bit after work during the week, but yeah, still has to put engine mounts on it, still have to bolt the torque converter to the flex plate. Bell housing's all done up, it's just lowered down onto the panhard rod and the front diff at the moment. So yeah, a couple little things we got to fix up, but it's a big milestone. It's the first time old Dane's had cylinder heads on him in about 6 years. So anyway, like I said, that's it for this weekend. So I'll pull this video up here, and the next one we should be putting the rest of the motor back together and engine mounts and stuff on it, replacing the fuel pump. So do that in it, and then we'll actually fire it up and see what it sounds like, see if it's all going to work, and which I can't see why it won't, but anyway, stay tuned. We'll catch you in the next one.